All right, I'm gonna do a longer term review of the Polaris heater and cab, or Pro XP heater and cab. For anybody who hasn't seen the other video, it's a Polaris vented poly front window, and then the Polaris sides, Polaris aluminum roof, and the back window is from Super ATV, but it's just like a poly one. It's nothing special. So last winter it worked pretty great. I did mention that the zippers were kind of crappy, especially on the passenger side, but now I've noticed that it still gets stuck in this corner somewhat, but a lot of times it'll work totally fine. And I don't know if it's just because it's getting worn in or what, but I don't know, the fitment's pretty good. There's definitely a gap along the bottom, which you notice in the summer, and it's the Polaris inner doors too, to get it to seal the whole thing. But one thing I did to make that better, because when it's dusty out, the dust will just make its way right in these gaps, which don't look big right now, but they're there. And so one thing I did is just take some Gorilla Tape, and I made like a little seal of it, pinched it, and stuck it to the bottom of this, and that helped a lot with letting dust and stuff in. Then I got some more kind of the window seal stuff and stuck it in these gaps. This one came with it, but stuck it in the gaps, another one there, just to stop stuff from coming in. Like this right here, mud and everything would just fly right into it. Also the Polaris fender flares, which then block off, there's a big hole right there, and in the winter, slush and snow and whatever will just fly right in there. And yeah, the fender flares help a lot with that too, and the mud flaps. But like it works pretty good. One thing with the heater, it's very hot, and I always run it on the low temperature, because if you turn it up, it gets cooking hot in here. And then also, if you have it on the hot, but then you turn the fan down, it opens the valve and lets more coolant flow into the center console, and this console is just cooking hot. One thing I did add to deal with that in the summer, because the heater, I mean, these are just hot to begin with, these machines, but the heater definitely adds like it's another whole radiator that's sitting inside the center console, and so it always has coolant going through it. Even when, like, if you turn that heater all the way to cold, there's still coolant going through it. So one thing I did for the summer to try and stop some of that heat just radiating out of the center console is, I don't know if you can see it in there, right there, right in the middle, I put a valve in there just so I can close the coolant from going into the heater at all. And I don't know if that helps. I think it does. I haven't used a thermometer or anything to check that it actually makes a difference, but it's gotta, like, it's stopping another 2 radiator hoses and a radiator that's sitting in the center console from radiating heat on everybody. This is the Super ATV rear window, and I added, I mean, there's some holes there for the harnesses, which I don't have. I just put tape over them and made a focus, made a seal up top with some roll cage foam and some more window seals, because that had a lot of gaps in it, and it works pretty good. Like, it definitely keeps you out. But the doors are a pain in the butt to take on and off. It's not like on a General or something where there's pins that the door goes together on. It's actually like inside the door, and so in the summer it does get hot. I left everything on except for the upper doors during the summer, and it's nice to take these off. Like, it cuts, you get more visibility when these are off and more airflow. But the problem is to put these all together you have to like sandwich, you have to put the upper frame on first, and you have to like sandwich the outer and the inner, and trying to get all the holes lined up, and the little plastic tabs in the outer door like to rip out, and so it's a real pain in the ass taking those on and off. So I would, what I'm thinking of doing is getting a totally separate doors and just pulling the 2 pins that are at the back of the door and just swapping doors. I don't know if I'm actually gonna do that, but that's what I'd like to do. Yeah, I don't know. It works decent enough. No issues. Added a wiper. You need one of those. And I'll let you know if I find anything else about it. Thanks.